Get uncomfortable. Following the discomfort nudges you towards the creative you're supposed to become. What's going on? You're listening to episode 47 of the Perspective Podcast, and I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective. This show is all about encouraging you to carve out time to build something for yourself. I know we all live busy lives, but find the pockets of time to pursue work that's important to you. I literally just got done recording an interview with my homie, Daryl Pinnick, and he had me on his podcast called Passion Behind the Art. He did a great job in the interview, and I just wanted to give him a quick plug. So check out his podcast, Passion Behind the Art, and my episode with him will be dropping soon. And I also wanted to start the show off by giving a quick thank you to Heather Sakai and Weapons of Mass Creation, aka WMC Fest, for having me out this last week to speak. And thanks to everyone who attended my talk and has since reached out to me. I can't thank you enough. Your encouragement and support means the world to me, and so I suggest you keep WMC Fest on your radar for this time of the year next year if you're looking for a conference to attend. Also, I'll be at Circles Conference here in a week for the first time, checking that out. Let me know if you'll be going, but there'll be no speaking or no workshops for me this year teaching. I'm just going as an attendee with my brother Tin Lund Studio, Terrence Tang, so holler if you're going to be at that. And I want to give you a quick premise of what today's episode's about. The topic of this has been something I've been turning over in my mind for a while now. And after things like WMC Fest or talks or something, monumental that happens in my life, I want to take a moment to not only celebrate small wins, but intentionally reflect on them as well, because I'm guilty of not living in the moment and focusing on what's next. So it's something I'm working on. And after my talk last week, I spent the night in Cleveland just kind of walking around, exploring the city, and thinking about the concept of getting uncomfortable and preparing for opportunities. And this episode is kind of a rundown of how both played a huge role in any tiny bit of success I've had over the years as Perspective Collective. I hope that maybe it'll get you closer to getting comfortable with discomfort as well. You can find the show notes and read this in a blog format over at perspective-collective.com/46. And if you find that this episode or any episode could be useful to someone else, just please share it with a friend or through social media. It's people like you that allow this show to grow. All right, let's do this. The other day, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he had Jamie Foxx on as a guest. And I've always been a fan of Jamie Foxx, because it's Jamie Foxx. What can't that dude do? However, what really blew me away was his story he shared of how he got into music. So this dude used to throw massive parties for people like P. Diddy, which was Puff Daddy at the time, which led to him linking up with rising artists like Jay-Z and the Neptunes. And this led to him building a studio in the back of his house, and artists had to perform anytime they were new and visiting. One day, some kid with a backpack came in, and he killed his session. He then proceeded to tell Jamie that he had the perfect song for him to sing on. This caught Jamie off guard because he never saw himself in that light before as, a mainstream singer. The kid with the backpack that I'm referring to was Kanye West. And the song that I was referring to was Slow Jams, which blew up back in 2004. If you know it, it's the one with Twista on it. But Jamie, once he got done recording it, he thought this song was a bust. And 6 to 8 weeks later, that song ended up blowing up to #1 in the country. This led to Jamie blowing up in the rap and the R&B scene after he was already big into acting and comedy. And he goes on the record stating, when your opportunity comes, if you prepare for it, now you can jump into it and grab it. So this whole time, Jamie was unknowingly preparing himself for that opportunity with Kanye by throwing these massive parties for rappers. He was immersing himself into the world of music by building his own studio, and all the performing, doing comedy and acting, kind of prepared him for this stage of getting into the music. It's so simple. Yes, prepare for your opportunities, but I think there's a catch. I feel many opportunities don't come without getting out of your comfort zone. And that's what this is about. So do the things that scare you. I used to be the type of person who played it safe and refused to get uncomfortable. I found over the past 3 to 4 years that by doing the things that scared the shit out of me usually led to life-changing opportunities. And then when I got those opportunities, you better believe I prepared my ass off so I could deliver. And how Jamie Foxx got into music eerily reminds me of how I got into public speaking. A few years ago, I wanted to share ideas and encouragement. I wanted to be more than just a drawing on Instagram, but I never saw myself as a writer. Yet I got uncomfortable and started blogging, not knowing what would come of it, because that just felt like the entry stage of sharing ideas. About a year into weekly blogging, my good friend Diane Gibbs offered me my first speaking gig, all because I mentioned on a phone call months earlier that I wanted to try it someday. And to be 100% honest with you, when she asked me, every bone in my body wanted to tell her no because I was terrified. And this wasn't your typical group of like 15 to 20 people like it was back in school speech class. What she offered me was a keynote at a conference of about 100 to 150 people in a state where I've never been before. However, I wanted to be a speaker, and that's exactly what I became. I prepared my ass off, and I personally felt like I crushed that opportunity, which ended up changing my life. That since sparked me to speaking at conferences like Creative South, at Crop Conference, at WMC Fest, conferences that have 350 up to 800 people attending. And little did I know that writing and sharing my ideas through blogging was leading me to that next stage of my life, which was speaking. And little did I know that speaking was going to lead me to starting my own podcast. And who knows what that's going to lead to, but all of these things that made me uncomfortable radically changed who I was as a person and the creative path I've been chasing. Looking back on life, playing it safe never made me feel worthwhile. Matter of fact, it made me feel invisible instead of feeling alive. And I think this is how maybe a thrill seeker functions. They constantly need to be doing something insane like skydiving to feel alive. Well, for me, finding comfort within discomfort lets me feel alive, and I feel it lets me evolve to the version of Scotty that I'm supposed to become. So getting uncomfortable over these years has opened the floodgates of opportunity for Perspective Collective, and it's up for me to be prepared for those moments so I can crush them. When I get those hell yes opportunities, like I mentioned back in episode 38, I pretend like they will never come again and that this is my one shot. And again, this is only for those hell yes opportunities. Preparing this way has taught me to never half-ass anything and to pour all my soul and energy into nailing that shot. But even if things don't turn out the way you and I expect it as we prepare for that opportunity, you can at least be proud that you put yourself in a position to get this opportunity and that you invested your best effort. So as you finish out this week, I want to challenge you to try something that I've learned from the writer, influencer, John Acuff. When you find yourself saying, I want to, swap it for I'm going to instead. And I don't care if this sounds cheesy because it works. It works for me, and I'm positive it can work for you. Everything starts with the mindset. So you say you want to start drawing, blogging, photography, or writing, but it makes you feel uncomfortable. Change that to I'm going to start drawing, blogging, doing photography, or writing because it makes you feel uncomfortable. Your mindset will slowly begin to change with a simple swap of words. Get uncomfortable. Following the discomfort nudges you towards the creative you're supposed to become. Challenging your fears present and prepare you for the opportunities that can change your life. Find comfort in discomfort and prepare for your opportunities. For real, I hope words like this of finding comfort in discomfort and preparing for those opportunities, I hope, it gives you that little nudge or the push to seek out those things that you are scared of. are you scared of sharing your work online? Well, I think that's an internal feeling that you should be doing it. That's your intuition saying like, hey, this is the person you're supposed to become. So take this path, even though it's scary. Like your brain is literally wired to, if something arises or something, fear or something, it's supposed to ping and try to protect you and keep you safe. So when you find those things that scare you, your gut's going to tell you don't go for it. But really, I think you should. Everything that scared me in my life from a standpoint of creativity and me chasing it down has massively impacted my life and my career. And I think it can do the same for you. If you're finding value from the show, there are 2 ways you can give back if that's what you're looking to do. Over on patreon.com/perspective podcast, you have the option to donate $1, $3, $5 per episode. And I can't explain how much this helps the show evolve. Not only are you helping me keeping up with things like recurring costs like audio hosting, web hosting, recording programs, equipment. I try to manage this all outside of a day job. But I also want to reward you and hook you up with perks like access to mini episodes, critiques on your work, discounts on my shop, and much more. And anything else you can think of, let me know that it's a way that I could give back to you as well, other than just the podcast. So again, that's over on patreon.com/perspective podcast. The smallest donation and pledging makes a massive difference in me pouring into this show. And another quick way that you can support the show is by leaving a quick ratings review over on iTunes. It not only helps the show get discovered, but it gives me an opportunity to give you a nice little thank you, like today's plug. This one comes from Maria from Sunshine Creative. It's called Much Needed Fuel for Your Creative Fire. And lovely Maria says, Scotty has such great guests and content from week to week. I always find gems to take away every time I listen in. If you are in the creative business, an artist, or work with creative, this podcast is for you. Maria, you are too sweet, and I know we've had a couple little micro interactions, I believe through Instagram and possibly through Twitter, but I want to directly say thank you to you and give you a little shout out, so I appreciate you. And I appreciate anybody who's leaving a comment review. Like, that means the world to me. And I need to end the show by always thanking my homie Nick Jenkins of Blookah. That dude puts out some killer tunes, and he is the reason why this podcast sounds so amazing with the music. So you can find him over at soundcloud.com/Blookah. That's BLOOKAH. And as we finish up the week here, I want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this.